Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles. This would be episode 54. My name is ArticulateT. I am the GM of this adventure through the lands of Hyrule. And with me today, as always, playing Renji Vox, I have TheNetherlad.
Greetings.
Playing Hikan Sio, I have Alvarance.
Hello.
And playing Ziden Shari, I have Robopirate.
Howdy.
And playing Max, I have Keistruth.
Hello.
So, what happened last time, folks?
So last time we, by we, I mean Renji, had the end of his dream where he noticed exactly how his patron was reacting to the visitor that the rest of the party ended up having. And after that, he stayed up for most of the night with Mara and Max. They had a little bit of a conversation, figuring things out. And then we fjorded our way up through the rest of Snow Peak. We had a brief encounter with Tundranax, where Max was a bit scared stiff, for lack of a better term, at the moment. And we'll deal with that later, because we want to interact with the dragon, I'm sure. And then we continued going forward, looking through things, seeing the very picturesque beauty of that is Snow Peak, until we ran across a Zora who was being confronted by two Lizalfos. The Lizalfos ended up being a pair of assassins that were seemingly after us. And with that in mind, when Hikan made himself known after listening to the conversation with Renji for a bit, they decided to try to initiate combat, which Hikan attempted to briefly delay to no avail. There was a brief scuffle before they realized that they were outnumbered and ran away, and then we were taken to Snow Peak Manor. After Snow Peak Manor, we had a seat in a foyer to warm ourselves up. We looked through some books, and we were met by the Lord of the House, who explained some things that were going on in the area. Hikan had a bit of a hard time paying attention at that, admittedly, and we figured out who's here at Snow Peak Manor, and we figured that Flamgo may still be in the area. And I believe we left off being escorted to a room.
Yes, indeed. You have, shortly after your arrival at Snow Peak Manor, and with a brief conversation with the Lord of the House, Lord Arthur Grastal, you had been escorted upstairs through the dining room by one of Grastal's many mechanical servants who had directed you to a series of guest rooms. Now, the guest room suite of the house is primarily composed of it's primarily composed of 10 rooms, 2 of which are slightly bigger than the others. Most of the rooms are 10 foot by 10 foot. One of the rooms is 15 by 10, and another one is 15 by 15. They all contain at least one bed and one set of dresser drawers with a chamber pot and all that kind of stuff. 4 of the rooms rather have a window that kind of peers outside and is covered by curtains, but the window itself is made of this thick glass, and because of the storm outside you can't really see much of a view. It is just white.
So it's currently snowing, or is it just frozen over?
It's hard to tell.
There's no kind of movements visible.
It's barely visible. As far as like, there is a bit of movement that you can see, but otherwise it could be both, honestly.
All right.
Does Renji want the 15 by 15 room?
Renji is a person of comfort. That will be that's definitely the thing for him. But like in these rooms, he doesn't necessarily want to have specifically the biggest one. Given the description, I think that he'll be happy with any of the rooms.
Okay. Did you
They're all
want?
kind of,
Oh, you go ahead.
they're all kind of connected by a common room-related thing, correct?
Not necessarily. There's really it's just a series of hallways. Like at a glance, the architectural choice of putting all the rooms in this larger area, like as far as you're aware, this could possibly have been one massive room that they just kind of cordoned off with the what would be the equivalent of like drywall and made several smaller rooms out of it. So you have the two bigger rooms that kind of take center space in the middle, and there's like a 5-foot wide hallway that goes between them and the rooms that run along the side. So on the east wall, which goes towards the inside of the house, you have 3 rooms, and then on the west wall you have another 3 rooms, and then there's 2 more rooms in the bottom. Sorry, I got the house the wrong way around. So west wall goes towards inside the building, into the more interior building. There's 3 of them there. There is another door that heads on the western wall that you would assume leads to a different area of the building. On the eastern wall, there's another 3 in a mirror opposite of the ones on the west one. And in the southeastern corner, there are 2 more rooms. And then as far as exits to this general area are concerned, you have the door you came in through, which is the one on the south wall, and there is another door on the north wall.
Okay. But they're all connected through this hallway. Generally speaking, if somebody wanted to keep watch because their friends and themselves might be hunted by assassins for a hypothetical, I could see all of the rooms if I decided to keep watch in the hallway.
You wouldn't be able to see all of them all at once. You would have to, essentially, if you were to pick one corner, you would be able to see, at most, you'd be able to see most of them, but you'd still lose sight of a couple of others. But if you wanted to, among yourselves, organize yourselves into which rooms so that you're all at least within immediate line of sight and have fewer corners to go around in order to get to other rooms if they're under attack or something like that, then you can do that.
Hikan would like to suggest that for safety purposes.
Yes, that might be a good idea, and normally I would stand on etiquette when dealing with a nobleman, but it does seem that the master of the house does not really stand for that kind of thing. So, us being somewhat paranoid, I think he would be accepting of that, as far as I can get a bead on him.
Okay.
Try and look around to see if there's any people around us at this moment.
The only one who is there is the mechanical servant who has guided you to this specific area of the house. They kind of stand there with their arms kind of folded behind their back, as if awaiting further instruction.
I, from next to it, making sure not to, kind of make eye contact. I want to look at it with my Eldritch sight.
Okay.
And allowing me to see magic.
Yeah. With your Eldritch sight, you're able to see that these things are indeed magical. There is a lot of enchantment around it. You assume something's not too dissimilar to an animated armor set, but this one looks weird. Like, it's not the magical aura around it, but the thing with animated armor is that it is more or less, for all intents and purposes, just a plain old suit of armor that anyone could wear and is then enchanted to animate by itself. This one looks like it actually has interconnecting parts to it, as if it is like a mannequin that has just been animated in such a fashion. Looks like kind of frail honestly, compared to your standard set of animated armor.
Okay. Can I try and peer to see if there's magic on this that is not inherently to do with the automation of it?
Sure. Let me
I'm
just...
trying to see, like, is there anything that might transmit or receive on this
So
thing?
you want to see whether or not these things can broadcast its thoughts.
Are we being spied upon?
Is
They
it
wouldn't
bug?
spy on us. That would be mean.
You don't see anything that would... I think sending and stuff like that, or similar magics to it, is like an evocation spell. You don't see any evocation magic with it, but make an insight check if you can.
Okay. That is... Oh. That's a total of
Lovely
6.
six.
Oh boy, oh boy. Why do I roll so bad on insight?
It's hard to tell. Like, they're really hard to read, these things.
Is it? Because
Shall
they're
any of
robots.
us try?
If you want to.
Ziden gets a 20.
You don't get the impression that it's there to spy on you. You get the impression that it is there chiefly to follow the orders given to it by its master, which is to show you to your rooms
I
and
get the
allow you to
impression
get settled.
This is just here to guide us. They probably weren't expecting visitors to spy on anyway.
I glance over at Ziden and then shrug. I guess I've become a little bit more paranoid the last few days.
I think that's fair.
Did you say this room has a window?
For the to go with the plan, the safety bedroom plan, that you're going with. 4 out of the 5 rooms do have a window. Actually, no, all of them do, because they're all facing the exterior wall. So yeah, you'll have a room with a window.
Gonna look outside, see if I can see that dragon.
Make a perception check.
It's a 10.
You can't seem to find any dragons outside, exhausted as you are. But then again, it is still not the most ideal conditions.
Squinting into the clouds.
Mr. Metalman, sir, is there a map of this place? Because it's pretty big.
Is the sound you get as he shakes his head.
Darn. Thank you. Hikan's just gonna treat it like it's a person.
That's because Hikan's a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Well, I guess we could relax for a little bit, finish warming up, unless there's something people wanted to talk about.
I want to know, and I seem to have trouble reading people sometimes, who we can trust here.
Well, until we identify who's the traitor in the rank, isn't it best not to trust any of them too much?
Yes, well, true. It does complicate matters.
How do we figure out who's the bad guy, so to speak?
Exactly.
I could try to go find stuff like I do. That'd be a bit hard. I don't think I can go in from outside.
It's going to be more difficult.
Maybe best.
And I don't think it'll be as easy to get away unseen if you do manage to get found out.
Maybe
I think
we...
for now we can. Yes.
I was just gonna say, maybe it would be best if we were to just wait till, because he said that he was hoping to he was hoping for us to have dinner before we actually went to bed. He's probably waiting for us to eat, maybe. And
I suggest we go eat then, yes.
I was going to suggest to rest for a bit, but having some dinner would be definitely a good idea to spend that time.
Ziden will also pat Renji on the shoulder and say, I'll let you eat first, and if it's poisoned I can fit.
Honestly, that doesn't sound as comforting as you might think.
It's
Wait.
meant to be teasing.
Ah, I see.
I mean,
I have a
could
trouble reading people.
People are hard. Max says he finally pulls himself away from the window.
Yeah, reading a book is much easier.
I guess.
Well, I don't. Should we keep our host waiting?
No, ready to go.
Well then.
Yeah, so after possibly situating your stuff so that you are like the majority of all your camping things that aren't being held in a bag of holding in your chosen rooms, conveniently enough, just as you decide to depart to head for the dining room, there is a small bell ding-ling-ling-ling-ling, rung by the same mechanical servant who led you to your rooms. He guides you out of the bedrooms and into the previous room that you were in, which is the dining room, with a long oak table that is capable of seating 8 people, that sits in the center of a nice big room which has bookshelves that line every wall, and the books in those bookshelves seem to be kept behind cabinet doors, as it were. There is a set of double doors that head to the west, seemingly outside the building, while to the east... Oh, no, sorry, wrong way around again. I swear I know my left from right. Door to the west is a set of double doors that seem to head further into the building. A set of double doors to the east seem to head outside the building. And then, of course, there is another door to the southwest where you went through to get back to the lobby and head up a set of grand stairs to get to this floor. But yeah, there's the table itself seems to be arranged rather nicely. There is a 3-candle candlestick that sits in the middle, the candles being lit, but only really there for the sake of decoration, given that the rest of the room is illuminated by wall sconces and the like. Each of the or the table has also been covered in a nice white tablecloth, and there are silver plates at each place, but only a singular knife and a singular fork around each plate. It seems the standard high society one piece of cutlery for one specific purpose thing has not survived the trip up Snow Peak Manor.
Thank
That's
fuck
what was
for
in that
that.
box.
Hikan sighs in relief.
But yeah, the mechanical servant doesn't tell you to sit at any particular spot. He just lets you pick a chair.
Which is nearest?
The chair, the one nearest the door to your bedrooms is the one at the a corner table, which is at the northeastern end of the table.
That one.
Okay.
Just drop into the nearest chair.
Yeah.
Max is fucking tired.
I'll probably try and sit a little bit closer to our host.
Okay. Yeah.
Ziden will take the Overwatch position and trying to find a spot where he can look across at everyone.
Okay.
Hikan will sit next to Max.
And Mara will just find a spot that is still next to the members of the group without it being of the spaces that are available. But yeah, after situating yourselves down, another mechanical servant opens through the door that leads down to the lobby and seems to have what appears to be a bottle of wine clenched in one of its hands. It plumps over to you guys at the table and begins to pour into Renji's glass, Renji's crystal wine glass, a deep crimson liquid, which you presume to just be red wine.
Perhaps.
We will quickly find out if they're vampires or not.
Or if we are vampires.
Surprise! It's the masquerade all along.
Oh my god. Turns out I was a Nosferatu.
Explains the scales.
Yes.
But yeah, after pouring a calculated amount of wine within your glass, it will continue around the table unless told specifically not to.
Max says no.
Alright, so like it goes to pour, you say no, it immediately retracts and moves on to the next spot. And just keeps going until all glasses around the table have been filled. And as it retreats into a corner, still clutching the remainder of the wine, the door to the lobby opens again, and you see Lord Grastal come in. He looks at all of you, and a small smile graces his lips, says, "Ah, excellent. Good, so you're all situated." And he makes his way over and proceeds to sit at whichever end of the table Ziden has not taken, because I'm guessing to see everybody, Ziden would have wanted to sit at one of the ends of the table.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So Hikan would be drinking the wine almost immediately as his glass was left alone. Not chugging it because it's wine and he knows better. Is it good wine?
It's a nice wine with like a kind of full, robust, fruity taste to it.
Max is gonna put his water skin into his wine glass.
Lord Grastal sits down at the table and says, "So, have you situated yourselves in your rooms? I imagine that you probably want to get as much rest as possible in the near future, yes?"
Thank you. Yes, we've had some time to settle down, and this dinner is also a very nice time for that.
Ah, good. Yes, it's usually a good idea to have some level of meal prepared for anyone who is traveling on the mountain, be it I or you or any of the other people who dwell within this building. Although really the only ones who do venture out on a regular basis would be Jorgen and Maslow, of course. But still, by all means, speaking of dinner, at which point, as he says that, the door opens and a third mechanical servant stomps out with a series of like smaller trays that is rather well balancing in a fashion. It goes to each table place and presents you with what seems to be a steamed like a kind of a roasted meat with some vegetables and like a hunk of bread and cheese, and it's all kind of been or all of it except for the bread has been soaked in this kind of this thick stew, which gives off this really nice sort of smoky aroma. And he says, excellent. That would be some good roast mountain goat. Sadly, we don't get much variety up here, of course.
That's quite all right. It's quite a selection of flavors that I can discern.
I have hydra meat if you want to try it.
Ooh. Perhaps we shall save it for another time. But that does sound intriguing. I've never eaten hydra before.
I have plenty to spare, so I can give some to your kitchen.
Oh, thank you. As the meal is laid in front of him, he takes up a knife and fork, and as he kind of sits there, he says, "Well, feel free to dig in, as it were." And he begins to cut into the meat of his meal and says, "So, tell me again, you were up here looking for a Flamgo, the Wizrobe, who was here previously, yes?"
Yes, indeed. When do you see him last?
It was a couple of days ago, actually. He came to our door by himself. At least that's what I've been told by, I believe it was Artemis or Maslow who answered the door. They said that they had been offered the chance to purchase some kind of animal or pet in order to help with the living conditions that one might face when on Snow Peak. We turned him away, obviously, but he said that he had set up his little storehouse on the mountains somewhere. Rather ghastly idea. I mean, I, for one, am here for the sake of my own sort of retreat from the world, there's a spiritual aspect to it, but I never thought of having a business be set up here, as it were.
Did Flamgo mention any specific location for that? I understand if that wasn't something that came up.
Not especially, though it was rather interesting to see a Wizrobe on the mountain. Artemis, my magical expert here, he suggested that we try and see where he had set up his shop for future reference. I believe Maslow went and scouted that area out. He's currently out at the moment. He should be back relatively soon, though, so if you're willing to wait, he might be able to tell you where to find them, and then if you are intent on hunting for this Wizrobe, then he'll be able to guide you back down the mountain to where he might find them, if he's found them, obviously.
That is very generous. Thank you.
Oh, not at all. It's not any trouble, I assure you. Despite my current living arrangements being so far away from the kingdom, I have not forgotten my loyalty to the kingdom by all means. And anyone who is who has come here with such benign intent and not deciding to raid the place just because it looks like a nice house on a hill, well, I consider that an act of friendship.
I nod deeply, then say, and of course, Castletown has not forgotten your loyalty, nor your friendship to the crown.
Insight on loyalty to the crown,
Yeah,
just to make sure he's...
He did make an interesting laugh.
Okay, it's a 10.
15.
He's nice.
Yeah.
I'm stuffing my face.
Max is the most suspicious of all.
It as well just go for it, 5.
Well,
This
this is why Max is the most suspicious.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This flaw.
With a 15, like it's still weird at it's still weird that anyone who like would seek to have any kind of loyalty to anything would go so far away. Like, what bugs you the most about this whole thing is why he situated this house on this mountain in such a dangerous environment in the first place. But other than that, like, it's hard to tell. He seems charming and pleasant enough, but there is something that kind of bugs you about this whole thing.
So did Fairwind. So I might as well ask, why did you come all the way up here?
Well, it was a bit of a, I should say, something of an eccentric fashion, as at least self-professed eccentricity, but also something of a spiritual one. As recently as most things go, my time working as the Lord of Defense for the royal family has made me see a lot of things in a different light. Truth be told, I've never really been a spiritual person until roughly 10 or 11 years ago. It was not something that had come lightly, of course. It was an unfortunate circumstance in which my dear daughter had grown ill for a significant period of time, and ultimately the experience had pushed me towards really reinventing myself within the lights of the Golden Goddesses and their works. So, after that, I had spent a lot of time at the Temple of Din, and reading the various different tomes that lie within such a temple, in order to find out more about the goddess of power, the one who had shaped the earth with her flaming arms. And I suppose that made me feel that I needed to go on a bit of a journey of rediscovery, something that, honestly, being here so close to the heavens has really reinvigorated my sense of, I say, creativity and understanding. I've never truly felt more clear-headed in a while. Of course, a lot of that had been helped with Bartholomew. He is a former army chaplain and still currently a priest of Din who has been assisting me in spiritual matters.
Pardon me for saying so, but then if you're here to find closeness with Din, doesn't Death Mountain seem more appropriate given her domains?
Yes, but well, truthfully, that might be the case. She is rather personified with flame, and a lot of things correlating to that. But well, Death Mountain, for as much fire as it has, it is only half the size of Snow Peak, and truthfully, I'm not sure. There was something about, I would have expected a part of me to have gone to Death Mountain to situate a home there, but I don't know.
Oh, of course, there's also the Gorons there, of course.
Well, true. I mean, I'm not exactly adverse to the company of Gorons. No. In fact, Gorons had been quite instrumental in constructing this house of mine. Even if there are a few interesting areas in the way that the layout of the building has been made, but honestly, the reason why I came here is something that I cannot truly explain. Something just guided me to this particular spot in order to set up a home and do research and, I say, some forms of experimentation. Not anything nefarious, mind you. Artemis has been mostly here trying to provide more scientific arcane research, as you can see by his wonderful mechanical servants. He gestures to a couple of the metallic humanoids that kind of situate themselves in the room. But mainly it has just been such a tranquil and secluded place that situates itself away from so much of the clutter that comes from large population centers. I suppose that might have been the case. While in Death Mountain, yes, it would be closer to the fires that ring so familiar with Din. In this instance, I feel that the solitude that Snow Peak had provided me is more the spiritual aid than I had ever expected.
I was thinking, given his talk of being guided here, with Renji's magical eyes, can he see any kind of magic effect on the Lord?
Okay. Ooh. DM
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
With my Eldritch Sight,
Mm.
technically it allows me to cast detect magic as at will.
Yeah.
Would it allow me to cancel the effect at will?
I would think so. I wouldn't
Okay,
think that it was like a permanent sort of like on at all times sort of thing.
Well, not on at all times, but detect magic takes around 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
No,
is it
detect
possible for
magic
me?
is 1 action and concentration up to 10 minutes.
Oh,
it's only
okay.
10 minutes if you do it as a
Then fine. Then
Yeah.
it's not a problem. So it's more in the case like, can I, when Ziden, for instance, is talking, just focus on it, have my eyes go all pixely, and then blink and have it be gone the moment he turns back to me?
Yes, I'd say so.
Or just cancelling a concentration spell, which I think is a free action?
Yeah.
It is a free action.
Oh, okay.
Also, mildly related. Okay, Hikan started playing with the silverware.
That's fine.
That's a good enough distraction as any.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Fair enough.
If you as you try and slyly get a glimpse of him through your detect magic eyes, let's see here. It appears that there are a couple of mild magical effects that go around him. The main one is abjuration. Something is protecting him from something, but you're not exactly sure what it is. But there's also hints of evocation and enchantment that go around him. But again, it's like you're not sure what it is. It's not like a magical effect with like with a special effect kind of particle effect thing that you can recognize. There's just a mixture of mild magic around him that seems to be protecting him from something, but you're not sure what it is. It could be the work of either Bartholomew or Artemis, as far as you're concerned.
Okay.
You said experiment.
Yes.
What kind?
Oh, well, any kind of like, puts his silverware down and says,
Max says his fingers really tight around the fork.
it's, as said, it is nothing. I suppose it's more of a chemistry sort of thing. Here, allow me to. He gets up from the table and he walks to the doors on the west side of the room, which supposedly lead outside the building. He says, "You may want to prepare yourself for a bit of a blaster." And he opens the door, and out the other side you can see what appears to be a defensive parapet, just a really small one. And in the middle of it, you can see what appears to be a large metal tube on a pair of wheels that is pointing outside. It says, "We've been receiving a few shipments that have been coming in from the from out of the kingdom. In addition to some more plant-based experiments that come from using the bomb flowers that usually come along from the landscapes of Death Mountain." He says. He closes the door again just to stop the wind from coming in. He says,
And you've managed to grow them here?
Not strictly. The bomb flowers we have to ship externally, utilizing a special sort of bag that I believe has been made out of the stomach lining of some Dodongos. No, it's been far easier to use the substance called black powder, this sulfurous sort of item that, when ignited, is rather loud and full of force.
That stuff in Sarcosa.
Yes,
we've had a bit of a run-in with that, to be fair.
Yes, nasty stuff, isn't it? But when directed properly, it can be utilized for various different either construction or weapon-based situations. The item out there is what is known as a cannon. It is something that would allow for propelling a large metal sphere, roughly this size, and he adjusts his hands to show the indication of a ball, roughly the size of a soccer ball. He says something like that, a great distance. I haven't received many reports of what goes on in Sarcosa, but as far as I am aware, there are instances in which they use them on their ships for the sake of defense. After all, if you're attacked by some kind of pirate and they are also utilizing a ship, nothing really sinks a ship more than a 50-pound ball of iron being propelled at great speed, no?
That does sound very destructive.
Indeed. We've mainly been trying to find ways to refine it appropriately so that should it be used, it is safe for the user, but also, I say, efficient. At the moment, all we can do is manifest that form of force by utilizing a lot of that powder, which is a waste, but also incredibly dangerous. I mean, as far as utilizing it for a weapon is concerned, it is meant to be, but not for the person firing it, of course. But for construction purposes, it can also be utilized for the sake of speedily dismantling buildings that need to be renovated, or for the use of mining, or something like that.
These sort of seem like... It's strange that such a destructive force could be used for such noble pursuits.
I suppose that is the case. I mean, it can go in two different directions, I think. He kind of, like, as he sits back down, he leans back in his chair, interlaces his fingers as he thinks on it. He says, in certain instances, something that was designed specifically for usage within a battlefield or by a regiment or something similar to that, can find its way into being used for more civilian purposes, or not necessarily for the sake of destructive instances, but for improving civilian life. Something that was designed for quick, efficient methods of, say, medical triage or construction could save lots of time and money and effort for the average person back in the village. Similarly, something that might have been intensely designed for the purposes of civilian use could also in turn be utilized for war. Which, I suppose that is in a sense a way of mortal kind, I should say. Not something strictly for humanity, but it is both... It is a sort of tainted blessing, I suppose, that oftentimes mortal kind is more capable of developing itself in times of war. It's... And he kind of, like, pauses a moment as he kind of thinks on it. There's a sort of wistfulness in his eyes, and says, "That's one thing I cannot truly fathom beyond all matter of a doubt. Before I had this spiritual awakening of mine, I had spent a lot of my time focusing entirely on the facts of combat, the facts of war. I had seen an uglier side of the Civil War, but as it dwindled down, I thought to myself, well, what else is there to it? I spend so much time focusing on the logistics, the defending certain points because of their value, that sort of thing. It's been a... It was purely scientific, fact-based, no connection to it on an emotional or spiritual level at all. And then I had my revelations, as it were, and I started to think about the impact of war and its use and purpose within society as a whole. It's this almost beautiful abomination of a concept, this idea that war can, as much as it destroys, also creates. And it's been something that I've been dwelling on for the past 10 years.
And it seems impossible to grasp, at least for the small duration that we've been talking about this. May I ask, like, practically, what would war create?
Well, think of it this way. It might be something of a continuation of a method of survival, I suppose. Now, before I continue, I do wish to reiterate it is a incredibly unfortunate aspect of life that people need to die at all. That there is destruction as a part of this process. I, for one, cannot fathom why it is that some of the best progress that any culture can ever make is through the process of war. But I suppose what generates it is a combination of an identifiable threat to a person's existence or a collective's existence, and the urgency by which development needs to be done before things go wrong. It's like having a tangible time limit with dire consequences to push forward the idea that something needs to improve. Of course, that's not always the goal in these situations. Sometimes it is as simple as wanting to develop on the spoils of that war, but in other times, in many times, developing weapons and medical techniques to circumvent the damage those weapons do. The act of faster mobility, longer range communication, all of these things develop as a part of an act of seeing a need to gain an upper hand in a conflict that is currently growing. At least that's my best assessment on that.
That's quite an interesting concept. Have you written on this?
I haven't specifically written on it, but I do have a wide variety of books on the matter. In fact, you're sitting in a room where most of my books on the matter dwell. And he kind of gestures around the room to the bookshelves. There's all of these retain the information of previous wars and the idea of developing from wars and other developmental factors. I believe Artemis has his own personal library on scientific endeavors, and Bartholomew does his best to retain his own expertise as a chaplain and sees fit to keep his own personal notes in regards to what's the word here? Own personal notes on the theological, spiritual side of the matter of war.
I would love to read up on something. I feel that I'm not qualified to truly debate or discuss these topics unless I've read more about it. I'm not as religiously educated as as I could have been. Most of my education had to deal specifically with statescraft and with the history of the royal family.
Yes, well, there's no need to fret on that matter. I'm sure that after this business that you might have with this Flamgo character, if you do have the time and inclination to stay for a while, then perhaps it would be a good idea for you to spend some time in this room of mine to read up more on the factors of war and their impact in our society. As said before, it is a beautiful abomination, the concept of war, and it's very fascinating to study and understand.
I would love to have some time to peruse your libraries.
Indeed. And he finishes off his wine and says, now, would anyone be interested in dessert, or would you be wanting to head to bed?
I personally would love to see what is on offer. But then again, I've always been a sweet tooth.
Very well, I can assure you, the menu is quite limited. And he kind of gestures to one of the servants, says, "Could you go and fetch some snowhead ice cream, if possible?" And the mechanical servant bows slightly with that, and then tromps off back out to the lobby, presumably back down to the kitchen. And Grastal then kind of leans back, and as one of the other ones refills his glass of wine, he says, "So, now I have indulged you all with as much information as I can on myself and your quarry, but I must ask, what about you? Please tell me more about yourselves if you can. If you are willing to divulge, of course. I will not pry if you would like to keep that secret."
I glance over at the rest of my companions, wondering if I see any hesitation or eagerness to discuss anything.
Khan is trying to balance the spoon, the knife, and the fork on a finger.
Max looks like he's about to fall asleep.
Ziden's just listening and figuring Renji will want to speak more than he will.
Mara's just kind of sitting kind of in a fashion to make herself look more like a smaller target, but she kind of has as much inclination to speak as like Max or Ziden do.
Max will never say anything, don't worry.
Well, Ziden would speak, but he also knows that talking is like one of Renji's favorite activities.
I feel seen. If no one else, just like if there's a lull in the conversation, I quickly fill it by saying, "Well, I'm sure that given the fact that you've lived in Castletown, well, you must have some knowledge of my father, Renji Vox."
Oh, yes, Sir Fetia's bodyguard. Yes, I am fully aware. Yes. Rather a very nice chap. Very down to business. I was aware of I have been made aware of the circumstances surrounding dear Sophitia and her father, of course. It is a very terrible affair, but
Yes.
I know that your father is a very dedicated and skilled man. I'm sure that if anyone can find the princess, it will be him.
Yes, I pray to the goddesses for his success.
He smiles and nods. Says, "Must have been interesting, I imagine. You mentioned that you, well, you know your I know your father, of course. Were you living apart from him, or?"
You mean recently?
I
Or-
mean, more in the sense of like, no, more in the sense of when a Sheikah is selected to be a royal guard, a royal family member's personal bodyguard, and what's the word? It's not. It is definitely not servant. They are not a servant in any capacity. Advisor. That's the one. An advisor. When they are a bodyguard and an advisor, they typically have to stay with that member of the royal family as much as possible. Somewhere in almost on a 24-hour basis.
Yes,
So I imagine
understand what
that
you mean.
I imagine that you stayed within the confines of your own home or village while Nihilus was protecting Princess Sophia, or did you join him?
I actually moved with him to Castletown,
Oh,
and I had my own quarters, tutors.
interesting.
Renji really wants to say friends. Um, he's going to add friends there, but that would be a complete lie.
He has friends now.
He has friends now, but he didn't in the castle.
I mean, like, Sophia was kind of a friend.
Oh,
Did he get on with Mara?
Mara has only been castle librarian for like a couple months before she joined the adventure with you guys. She was a new addition to the castle staff, but
okay,
she's been
so
pleasant with everybody.
I'm not entirely certain how friendly I would be with Princess Sophia. If, like, would Nihilus have encouraged that, or would it be more of a, like, this is my job, but she is still the princess?
He would have encouraged it as like as far as making sure that she had a friend outside of like the outside of the her family itself, because otherwise all she'd have would be Marius, who at the time was still very much about himself, and then Rufus, who neither Marius or Sophia really like care for Rufus, despite the fact that it's not really his fault. Because as far as you're aware, like as a brief retouch, Queen Grace of Hyrule had sadly passed away during the childbirth of Prince Rufus, and subconsciously both Marius and Sophia blame Rufus for their mother's passing. So they never really got on with him. Sophia was the adventurous one who wanted to escape the castle at all costs in order to go on many, many adventures, and 100% of the time would be caught by Nihilus before she went anywhere. So he probably would have encouraged her to be, or encouraged you to be friends with her, and her to be friends with you in some small capacity, just so that she had someone to talk to that wasn't an overbearing adult trying to make sure that she wasn't making poor life choices, or any of her family who, like, her dad was really busy, her older brother's an asshole, and her younger brother, she had, like, really got off on the wrong foot with him. So it's really you as a friend is all she had, but how successful that was is between you and her, truth be told.
Okay, I hadn't really considered it that much just yet. I would say that they are.
Want to roll for it?
I would have no idea or
Maybe charisma
what
check.
any. Fair enough. A retroactive charisma check.
Yeah.
9.
It's not like the two of you couldn't stand each other. It's just that it might be that Sophia probably saw through Nihilus's attempts to get you two to be friends.
Mhm.
And probably it's like, this is just another attempt to have for me to not leave the castle. I shall defy this. And but yeah.
I would have probably helped her to like find hidden passages, but
Yeah.
it was mostly just like you
Help her to
scratch.
find hidden passages that your dad already knew about.
Yeah.
Of course. Like it would probably be hidden passages that my father would have somehow allowed me to find.
Yeah.
But at least this way he would know which passages he'd use.
Yeah. Ras says, well, that must have been an interesting time growing up at the castle then.
Certainly, yes.
But yeah. It says that moments later, a mechanical servant returns with several bowls of 2 scoops of Snowhead ice cream, which is more or less just vanilla ice cream with kind of this sort of honey syrup over the top of it. Which is nice and sweet. But yeah, as he kind of digs in, he says, I do enjoy this, and even if it is more or less us trying to find a way to make do with what we have, it is a remarkably entertaining treat. He murmurs as he takes another mouthful.
Max eats accidentally spoons too much into his face because he's never had ice cream before and gives himself brain freeze.
Oh no!
How common is ice cream in Hyrule?
It's a new treat.
You do have the option, at least, of magic making ice, so...
Yeah. It's not as common as it would be in like normal society, but it's not so uncommon as to be Jack Skellington what's this moment.
Okay. Because, like, if it was exceptionally uncommon, then it's like Hikan probably scarfed it down and also has brain freeze. But
I suppose you only ever have it in winter, or if you have a mage to make it, so it would be something of a rare treat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Unless anybody else has any other questions for Lord Grastal, he sits and makes small talk with you as he finishes the rest of his ice cream, and then when you're all set and ready to go, he asks for the mechanical servants to begin clearing the table, and he says, now, it has been a lovely time with you here with me, but I do have other things I need to attend to before I need to retire to bed myself. But in the meantime, please feel free to make yourselves at home. Through the north end of the larger room where the guest rooms are, there is a balcony that leads through the gallery, and that leads towards a bathroom. And of course, if you do feel hungry during the night, feel free to head back downstairs into the parlor, and then it will be on the western door or eastern door where you can get to the kitchen. And I'm sure that you'll be able to be provided with some form of food there if you need it. In the meantime, thank you, and I shall hopefully see you in the morning. I say hopefully see you in the morning. It's perfectly safe here. I apologize.
I wanted to make a small joke there of even the Lord of the House doesn't know east from west.
Yeah, he gets up and makes his way back down to the lobby himself, leaving you guys alone in the dining room.
I get up and bow as he leaves. And as he leaves, I turn to the others and have just this really almost pained look on my face for a moment. And I just
What?
sigh for a moment and just I shake my head. You know when you have conversations that you'd rather not have?
All the time?
Yes.
I do too.
I don't know which part of that conversation was the bad part. Was it the home stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess we all have our backstories.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Also, my passive deception check would be 17 on Lord Grastal, not figuring out that I didn't have any friends.
Yeah, that's fine. He totally believes that
He's
you had
polite.
friends.
He doesn't question it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Renji. I was having difficulty paying attention.
Honestly, don't worry about it.
Okay. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I am. I just don't really trust him. His talk of war kind of reminded me a little bit about, well, organization that we've had some runs in with.
Hmm.
Why do you open the door?
To reveal an
It
invention.
said it was a cannon.
Yes. A destructive
It's a weird name.
construct. It is a weird name,
Hmm.
but he seems to dabble in black powder as well.
Would be a connection to Fairwind, right?
It would.
Maybe if we talk to him again, we should ask if he knows the guy.
Yeah, we should find a way to
Ask if he heard about
not
what
tip
happened.
our hand.
Ask for if he heard about what happened in Sarkosa.
Yeah. Honestly, I would like to keep our involvement in those things private, at least for the foreseeable future.
Could just say we heard about it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You're better at lying than I am.
Well,
Mostly because you're better with words.
This is going to be a challenge.
This has just been like gradually sliding sideways throughout this entire conversation.
I think some of us need to get some sleep.
I guess.
It does
Yes,
seem that
that's a
way.
good idea.
Go get some rest. I'm gonna go wander for a while.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go wander and familiarize myself with the layout of the manor.
Okay. All right.
Because that's a background feature.
Okay. So, you guys situate yourselves back into your rooms, except for Hikan.
Max goes and puts a chair by the window and watches for like a minute and then passes out.
Yeah.
Because he's that tired.
Yeah.
Fair.
So, as you wander around Hikan, you notice that there are several doors that you cannot access and some that you can. As far as you're aware, your bedroom is on the second floor on the eastern side of the house. To the north is what appears to be a gallery, or at least exits out onto a balcony that is over a gallery. There are pictures on the walls, and in the center of the room there is a rug with a pedestal, and on top of that, a rug under a pedestal, and on top of that pedestal appears to be some kind of vase. The paintings themselves seems to be of various different nobles, or various different individuals in fine dress. A door that exits out on the northern end of that room, on the floor that you're on, exits into a wash chamber which seems to have 2 tubs, several buckets, some towels, and other kind of cleaning stuff. There appears to be a couple of pipes situated on one of the walls that suggests that maybe it gets water up from somewhere. Exiting from the south of the bedrooms, you see that you've got the dining room. Going through the western door on that one appears to be another kind of parlor/hallway sort of thing with another fireplace, with a rug in the middle of that. Exiting out the north of that room, or through the western door of the bedroom's room, appears to be a balcony that leads out onto a very cold, snow-covered courtyard. There's like a little thing that leads out into the middle, but the balcony seems to curve around to one side and then leads up a ramp that goes to a room on the second floor of what appears to be a tower, which is at the back end of the house. There is on the opposite side of the courtyard on that floor appears to be another set of double doors leading to another room that you can't quite make out from here. Let's see. Actually, no, but if you go through it, you can open it up and you see inside appears to be, well, it looks like a temple of some kind, like a very small one. There's a series of pews on either side of a red rug that leads up to a set of double doors at the other end. Kneeling and praying appears to be a man in this fine white robe with a chest plate that goes over the top of that. There is a shield on one arm as he kneels and prays before the pair of doors in front of him. He doesn't seem to have noticed you when you get there. Did you want to disturb him?
I presume I recognize the symbols from Larson Graves, the symbols of Din.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a cursory look around. If I don't see anything that kind of sticks out other than temple stuff, I'm probably not gonna disturb him at the moment. I don't want to start poking at people until I have people who know what to say with me.
Okay. Make a perception check.
Absolutely. That's a 9.
Hmm.
Yay!
From where you are at the moment, you don't believe that you see anything out of the ordinary that would prompt you to take any questions at all or ask any questions. It just seems like a normal temple area with symbols of Din that have just kind of been situated around the room slightly. But yeah, about it. Exiting that temple, heading back into the lobby and downstairs, you have, of course, the parlor. There is a door to the north wall of the parlor that leads out to the ground floor of the courtyard, in the center of which, underneath that little platform area that reaches out into the middle, appears to be another cannon. Not sure what it's doing there, but it's just kind of skewed off to the side, pointing to the northwest of the area. There seems to be 3 more doors in this area. One to the north, one to the west, one to the east. You can't get through the western door or the northern door, but you can get through the eastern door. Exiting east through the parlor leads you to the kitchen, which is this nice big stone affair with a big bowl in the center of it, which seems to be bubbling with this sweet-smelling liquid. A mechanical servant seems to be tending to that bowl constantly. As you exit through the north of the kitchen, you get into what appears to be a storage area, which also seems to have a mechanical servant wandering around. They look at you as you enter, and then after a momentary pause, return back to their sort of wandering about. Exiting through the north of that leads you into the ground level of the gallery that you were just in, that you could see previously. And that's about as far as you can go when it comes to wandering. Any other door that you might have encountered that you haven't gone through, you couldn't get through because they are specifically locked.
Okay. That's going to take a lot for me to remember, but we'll work on it throughout time. I'm probably
That's
going to be
okay.
here at least a little while.
In the event that we have a map for it, essentially what I'll do is I'll let you know if you've been to this room before.
Excellent. Did I run into anyone other than the bishop or the mechanical servants whilst I was wandering?
You don't appear to have found anyone else.
Okay. I will go ahead and take the longest route that I can back to the rooms.
Mhm.
And then if no one is watching the area at that time, I'll go ahead and just kind of sit in the hallway. Well, not sit, but like lean against the wall in the hallway and keep an eye out in case Lizafos sneak in.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. You situate yourself in that particular area and keep watch. And you do so for a decent amount of time. All of you, unless you have any reason as to why you want to stay up, all of you gain the benefits of a long rest. Which means that for both Mara and Max, you both lose your level of exhaustion and are now back to being well rested.
Good news.
Yeah. Nothing appears to disturb you in the night. You seem to more or less... Like, the beds themselves, if you slept on the beds, they're okay. They're a bit stiff in places, but otherwise they're fine. They're okay to sleep on. If you slept on the floor, then it is the standard feeling of sleeping on a hardwood floor that might be in some serious need of varnishing. Yeah.
Max just has his standard nightmares.
Just the standard allotment of nightmares for now.
Yeah.
Please don't lightning bolt this place.
No.
Just a regular amount of nightmares.
Yeah. But yeah.
I will neither confirm nor deny if I shocking grasp the wall.
Or the sheets.
Why would I be in sheets?
That's fair. You should try it.
He has. It's his. He said it's uncomfortable.
Nah.
Well, you might have, like, it's not a terribly big room. You might have rolled over on the floor and grabbed at the bed, but yeah.
No.
But yeah. So as you kind of wake up in the morning, you all only sleep for like 4 hours, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
We don't even actually sleep.
Except for Max
You
and Mara. But yeah. Well, as you kind of wake up, you do find that it is rather dark outside. As you, if any of you poke your head out your doors, you see Hikan, who's probably situated himself in like a corner to have a good view of everybody's rooms. But you also see a mechanical servant who is just kind of like, as you poke your head out and look around, he sees you and just kind of holds up two hands as if to say, wait there. But he doesn't really go anywhere to fetch anybody. He just tells you to stay in your room.
Okay. I look over at the automaton, then say, is there a place for us to train, preferably inside?
His head tilts to the side with a squeak. as he almost as if he's thinking. And let's see, is there a place for you to train that is not outside in the snow?
If not, you could always do with the snow training.
I do not want.
And because you don't want it, that's why it'll be good for you.
That's not how that works.
We had to fight something in the snow already.
Yeah, but just because I don't want to doesn't mean it's immediately good for me.
In this case, it is.
The mechanical servant in capable of speech will look to you and mimic two motions. One, he'll put his hand out like to the side in like a faux punching motion, then tilt his head to the side, then he'll correct it, and then he'll mimic picking something up and putting it back down, then tilt his head to the side. With a passive insight of 12. It's enough for you to think that maybe he's asking, is it combat training or physical training that you're after?
I look over at Hikan, who is probably still outside, and then say, mostly combat training.
It
Could
nods.
be either. You could always sit there and train your body.
Or, I mean, we've sparred previously, mostly so.
Okay.
It nods and then tilts its head to the side again, as if to try and think of something. And then it will like shakily lift up a hand to gesture you to follow it.
Okay. I do, and look at Hikan to see if he will.
I'll follow. Maybe I'll get to see a new room.
Essentially, the way it goes is it takes you out from through the south door to the dining room, and then out the western door to what appears to be like a landing hallway sort of pseudo parlor place. It kneels down and picks up the rug in the middle of the room, and then moves it to the side, leaving just this this almost featureless room with the exception of the fireplace. And then it will stand and put its hands behind its back and watch you as it expects you to do something.
I walk inside.
Hikan starts stretching, still a bit stiff from being almost bitten in half.
I make sure that I stretch properly as well.
Okay. You know, after form, I really don't know what to do. They don't teach us how to teach. They just tell us to teach. What do you want to learn?
Don't really have anything particular to learn right now, I think. Just want to get a little bit faster on my feet.
Okay. And then Hikan gets into a battle stance and grabs the lightning spear and attempts to stab Renji's feet.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Well, good luck. I don't have. Oh darn it! I will have put on my armor because that is something that I'm trying to keep on
Do you have
at all
feet
times.
armor?
Yes. I do have. Wait, half plate is. Don't know if there's greaves or if there's.
Probably at least includes boots.
Yeah.
I do have like at least leather boots. I'm not sure how much how armored they are.
Well, your AC is your AC regardless of where you hit, so...
Yes, so my AC is 18 because I do not have my shield with me.
Okay.
No, I'm not intentionally like trying to hit Renji. It's
Mhm.
just like he said faster on his feet, so it's like, okay, I'm going to make it so you're moving your feet faster.
Okay.
It's like leg sweeps and other things, not just
Do
like
you want
jab
me
at
to
his
just make a
toes.
dexterity saving throw then?
Sure. My DCs for things like that is 14.
Okay. Let's see. That's an 11, so I will probably get stung.
Or knocked onto the floor.
And just like whack your foot with the flat of it, and then as you're about to fall over, I catch you real quick so you don't fall on your butt.
Okay, again.
And we'll just go through this for a while until...
Yeah. Okay. So, after you've done the amount of training that you feel necessary to do, and unless anybody else has anything they want to do before being beckoned to meet with the master of the house again,
I'm back on Dragon Watch.
yeah. Anything, Ziden?
Where would we be meeting him?
You're not sure. They will probably, a mechanical servant will probably pull you in a direction to meet him. It's either going to be the parlor or the dining room, you think.
Well, Ziden was going to go read some of his books anyway, so...
Okay. Yeah. So you, you head into the dining room, I'm guessing, and pluck a book from a shelf. And you begin to read it, and they're very well written books. But as he mentioned before, almost all of them have something to do with the subject of war.
Given the topic of conversation, Ziden would be trying to find ones which were before his revelation and after to see if there's a significant change in his writing style.
Okay. Well, he hasn't written any of them. These are books written by other people that he's collected about the subject of war.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just it's just a subject which dominates the shelves of this room.
In which case, I'll go for the old standby of trying to find war-based animals.
Surprisingly enough,
You find a lot of horses.
yeah, you find a lot of horses, maybe a couple dogs, and like small birds for the sake of delivering messages, but otherwise it's a bit sparse in regards to animals.
Soon I'll have access to birds.
Very soon. Next
And then
level.
you can add a whole
in
lot
fact.
of extra things.
Yeah! What fun.
Probably it'd be more like one fast one, one high CR one small one or something.
Yeah. Essentially, so for
And an owl for nighttime.
for briefly out of character stuff, because we're playing this on Roll20, what I've done is I have a subfolder for in the character folder in our journal specifically for all of Ziden's beast forms, which is basically, and what I've done is I've taken beast stats from the compendium and populated all the folders possible with these animals and elementals and stuff, and then progressively just unlocking them as they go. But there's a lot that I might have missed, and it's still a lot of different character sheets in the journal. And then there's the summoning ones and everything. So long story short, for the sake of bookkeeping, druids are the bane of my existence, but I'm not going to tell people not to play what they want, so it's all good. It's just...
And every time Ziden gets another form, it's wild shape, get Toraze.
Yeah. Pretty much.
To be fair, I would have been plenty happy with just having like a generic token depending on the size of the beast and then knowing what it was.
Yeah, but they all come with different stats, like specific things that go with it. It's just easier if I have a copy of the character sheet which has those stats on
But then
it.
I could just tell you the stats of this. Of course this beast has 20 AC, don't worry about it.
What are you talking about? Of course this chicken has 200 hit points. Do you doubt me, DM? It's like, yeah, kinda. But nah, it's fine.
I would suggest every time we level up that the treasure get music from Zelda's played.
I have to upload that to my jukebox, but I'll take care of that another time. But in the meantime, unless anybody has anything specific they want to do, after a couple of hours, one of the mechanical servants rings a bell and gestures for all of you to come and join or come and follow him to the parlor, where you encounter Lord Grastal and this other Hylian gentleman with this kind of greenish blonde hair of like a darker shade, which is tied back into a ponytail. He seems to have a couple of small scars on his face and is wearing like winter clothes, specifically designed for the purposes of moving quickly and stealthily, but also not sacrificing the purposes of warmth. And DeGrasse says, "Ah, yes, good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to my parlor. This is Maslow. He is my scout." And Maslow just kind of waves. He says, he will be, if you're still wanting to head down to the, to this Wizrobe's little hut place, he is more than willing to lead you down.
That is very kind. And I bow to this new individual.
He kind of just gives you a curt nod. He says, Maslow knows these mountains incredibly well. He'll be able to guide you there in no time at all. And you'll be able to sort this business out with this spellcaster, of course. When did you want to head out, of course?
I was hoping to go out as soon as possible, unless someone else has any particular ideas.
Is this scout more of just like a rough and tumble, I'm a man of few words type? Or does he have something against the party like a traitor would?
He just seems to be a standard rough and tumble, grizzled, standard video game protagonist sort of dude.
Okay.
Like he has the 5 o'clock shadow and just a kind of perpetual scowl. But he doesn't, like, your passive insight is 16, so you don't sense any malice from him. It's just like it's my job sort of deal.
Okay. Then, yeah, Hikan has no objections.
Max is gonna shrug.
Mara says,
Is there a way that we could get there relatively quietly? The last time that we saw him, it wasn't exactly on the best of terms.
I can see if I can get you down there quietly. Although if you're he kind of like glances over all of you and says, I'm guessing a couple of you are spellcasters, so you might have some method of that, but otherwise I can keep scouting ahead and tell you when to stop and when to move if you need that.
Okay.
Still appreciate it.
Mara says, if you guys are going to be coming back, I don't mind staying behind. I don't want to slow you down. That and, I mean, if you're going to be possibly fighting a Wizrobe, there's not exactly much I can do against it.
Fair enough. I'm sure that you can spend some time in the library here.
Yeah.
Okay. Hikan would like to make sure that he has the immovable rod before he goes, or before we leave.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, next thing you guys make sure all of your stuff is prepared and ready to go. Mara waves you all goodbye as you make your way down the lobby with Maslow and make your way out into the snowy mountainside of Snowhead Peak. Once again, facing a blizzard as you go. There we are. As the door closes behind you, Maslow just kind of gives you a once over, everyone, or gives you all a once over and says, "All right, so I mean, you've managed to find your way here, so I'm assuming that you have at least some level of competence when it comes to mountain climbing. So let's head on out. If you do need a bit of a rundown, feel free to let me know. But if we're going to be finding this Wizrobe, we're going to have to make it quick and quietly."
Okay. We got up because I got up to the top by jumping, mostly, and kind of crawling up.
I try and look at Maslow's expression when Hikan says that.
Yeah, he kind of just like there's a look like it doesn't shift. There's kind of like he just kind of accepts it. Which, given the fact that his home is on the top of the tallest mountain in the kingdom and is filled with magical robots, he's not exactly ignoring the possibility that that sort of thing is a thing. But yeah, he kind of just nods and says, "All right, okay, let's move," and begins to lead you guys on down the mountainside. It doesn't take you terribly long to get there, or to make your way down at the very least. It's he kind of leads you down a lot of different areas that, for the last leg of your journey at least, Jorgen didn't even consider. Like, Jorgen took you along larger paths to get you to the Snowhead, but Maslow seems to direct you to smaller, more, at first, complicated pathways, but it does allow you to descend certain parts rather easily, and he goes as slow as he needs to make sure all of you manage to get down the mountain without too much trouble. And as you get to certain areas, he starts to talk a bit more and says, "All right, so how exactly is it that you have found yourselves up here? Lord Grastal didn't really explain much to me, but I am a bit curious. What brings you to our neck of the woods?"
So you've been told where to bring us? To,
Yeah, I've been told that you're looking for this Wizrobe fella. I followed him down the mountain shortly after his visit to us. He set up a small hut somewhere further down, just to ensure that there's well, I assume to ensure that there is some kind of establishment that he can use to sell animals, but it's still halfway up the mountain where only us live. I'm not exactly sure what his game is.
Catching him, probably.
so we've had a run-in with this individual previously,
Right.
and we are eager for a second round.
Chaplain Graves wanted to make sure that we found him because he helped with that.
Got it. Alright. Makes sense. He says as he kind of tumbles a little bit down, or artfully tumbles down a set of jagged rocks, and then helps guide you on the way down, and says, "Alright. Okay, shouldn't be too much longer now. You say Chaplain Graves, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Must have done some serious problems, this Flamgo person. But it's all right. I mean, honestly, is the only thing that's really up here will probably be a few wolves and the dragon. Although I doubt he's going to have the capacity to catch a dragon.
He caught a Lionel.
Come again?
A
Anything-
Lionel.
And we think that he had a Hydra north of Drumnick Town.
A Lionel and a Hydra. Of course,
Makes a
it
little
has to
bit
be.
more probable that he's going for the dragon,
Well,
especially a blind one.
blind one. Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
know- What do you know about the dragon?
Oh, Tundranex? Oh, well. He's been a bit of a problem, I say. I was only been here for a couple years, you see. I was recruited by Lord Grastal just to help with the kind of scoping out the local area thing. Makes sense, I guess. After all, you want to know what your neighborhood's like if you live in it. But I don't know. We got here and we found... Well, I got here shortly after the dragon's latest attack. The place was missing a few bits and pieces in the roofs and walls, but they were soon fixed. Artemis tells me that they were lining up some of those cannons that Grastal's been working on, hit the thing right in the face. Which I guess if he's blind, well, it would explain a lot.
That would be an effective tactic.
Hmm.
It'd also be a really good way of pissing him off.
Oh
That
yeah,
as
undoubtedly.
well.
He hasn't come back to attack the manor since, but there have been instances where I've had to lie low when he was trying to find something. Same with Jorgen as well. He's been trying to lie low ever since, but I don't know. From all accounts, Bartholomew tells me that the dragon turned up after they did on the mountain. So I don't know what exactly Tundranax is looking for here, but I'm not sure. I try not to overcomplicate things. I'm just being paid to keep an eye on the surroundings, and that's it.
Would my
Curious.
readings have told me anything about the kind of stuff dragons tend to be interested in?
Yeah. Dragons usually like to either hide away somewhere or they just find themselves in a location with a nice big area of territory. Like, it's possible that Tundranax might have been ousted from where he used to live, and was forced to make a new home in the Snowhead mountain range. But it's also possible that he might have had a substantial hoard that he just wanted a good place to hide it in, or maybe it's just the fact that it's really cold here that he just preferred it. But yeah, there are reasons for dragons to be mobile, and those are some of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen him come from like the same area most of the time, kind of thing? Because
The snowstorms are usually too thick for me to see that far into the sky. He likes to fly quite high up. Hard to keep track of him sometimes.
yeah, that makes sense.
It takes you roughly 2 hours of clambering down these different pathways through the mountains, but eventually Maslow asks you to stop briefly as you get to like a series of rocky crags that head down into another kind of small basin area. Maslow then moves ahead a few feet before stopping behind cover, peering out, and then gesturing you to follow as quietly as you can.
Yeah.
Do so.
Yes, please.
Eight.
Oh, they're making stealth checks, okay.
Yeah.
19.
24.
If we're gonna make stealth, then Ziden would do pass without trace before we start sneaking.
Then 34.
34, 29, 18.
23.
Nice.
I like the big numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as you follow down, Mazo looks behind him to you, and then gestures into the basin area. And you see, smack dab in the middle, almost completely untouched by everything else in the basin, with no tree or rock, is the only feature in it, is a small wooden hut, which kind of sits by itself in the middle of the basin.
Does it look in better quality than the first hut that we saw? Because the second hut was kind of destroyed.
It looks the exact same as the first hut.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Indeed.
Okay.
So he teleported away last time, didn't he?
Yes.
Do we have someone who can counter that?
I cannot.
Not yet.
Hmm.
Neither can I, so...
Can anyone, like, look for him with magic or something?
Well, I have polymorph, so if he fails that, he can stop casting spells. Just need someone to get his attention first, so he doesn't counterspell it, perhaps.
I can try and get a bit up close and personal.
I can be loud.
I point to to Zaiden's head, and then I point to Max, and then I will say in Sheikah, are we looking to disable him and take him alive, or
It's going to
yeah?
be a hassle to get him to Castle Town alive. But
What?
Hmm?
What?
to get Flamgo to Castletown
No.
alive?
Speaking in Sheikah, and I
Oh.
don't know if Zaiden initiated telepathy or not.
Oh, right.
Well, the telepathy's only 1-to-1, so you'd have to go back and forth.
Hmm.
Well, you see, like I could say it to you, and then you could say it to Max through telepathy. It's a workaround that's horribly complex.
Why are we doing a workaround? To avoid
Because I
saying
don't
something
want
to
to.
someone?
I don't want to say something in front of Maslow about how we're just going to kill this guy.
Oh, I see.
Or Hikan wouldn't want to do that.
Well, okay. Ziden will activate and act as a relay station. He'll probably take the assumption that Hikan's seen something and we're trying to be extra stealthy.
That's fair. But yeah. So it's just generally Hikan wants to know: are we planning on because I can attempt to stun him if I can hit him.
I feel like he is a tough enough opponent that we shouldn't be holding back at all.
Hmm.
Plus, if he... I can't speak this. Okay. Telepathy back to Ziden. If we just knock him out, if he does escape, then he'll just teleport and be gone again.
So we go with the intent to take him down.
Yes.
Okay.
Maslow's just kind of watching all of you like, right.
It's mostly just like Ziden's head swiveling back and forth.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I look over at Maslow and I ask, beyond getting us here, for which, thank you, were you ordered to do anything else?
Not much. But I figure that if you're here to find a specific Wizrobe, then you're probably better equipped to deal with said Wizrobe. So I will guide you back up the mountain when you've dealt with him. So if you want, I can wait outside and make sure nothing interrupts.
That would be a very kind thing. Yes.
Okay. I pull out the shocky stick.
I cast Armor of Agathis on myself and replenish my spell slot.
Okay.
Ziden will offer him a good berry.
Thank you.
It's magic food, so you'll only need that for the entire day.
Real convenient. Thank you. He pops it in his mouth.
Alright. I should probably bring up the rear because I'm the fastest.
Possibly, yes.
Okay. I will step behind everybody, and then when we're ready, we go inside.
Okay.
Ready, break.
Max will go first.
I will go second.
Going
Okay.
to march out front.
All right. So you head to the hut. Nothing seems to happen as you get to the door. As you kind of get to the door, no traps or anything seem to go off. You grab the handle, test it, seems fine. You open it up, and inside you see the familiar surroundings of Flamgo's storehouse and pet emporium. There are shelves and of pet food and everything. There's a pair of cuckoos behind a fence just off to the side, and yeah, the temperature is significantly far more pleasant in here than it is outside. As you kind of enter in, there is the cling of a bell by the door. I'm guessing you all situate yourselves inside here. There we go.
And you can even use the same.
Yeah.
But as you kind of all get in, the door closes behind you. After a tense few moments, there is a poof in a massive pile of smoke, and with his arms outstretched, he goes, "Welcome to." Oh shit! It's you.
Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
Lightning spear.
Okay. All right. So,
That's just our lightning bolt.
Eldritch Blast, Javelin of Lightning. So what he's going to do with his reaction, he's going to hit the lightning bolt with a counterspell.
Okay. Good choice.
He's like, just takes care of the one lightning bolt. Eldritch Blast hits him for 3.
And second bolt is also 3. Darn it.
All right, 3 on that one. Let's see. The Javelin of Lightning, 21 to hit for 11 and 12. So that's 13 or 23 total damage. And I'm gonna have him do his dex save, which is 4.
Oh, no.
4.
So he takes a further 14. Then he attempts his. It's a Wisdom saving throw for Polymorph, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. I gets a 10. What do you turn him into?
So I wanted to turn him into something fairly harmless with a very low speed, so he can't even run away.
Okay. So tortoise.
Tortoise sounds perfectly acceptable.
Okay.
I would be
That's-
doing that after Renji's done his second attack to avoid him having the chance of coming out of it by being hit.
Yeah,
Fair.
that's fair. So, like, in a flurry of like bolts of lightning and bolts of force, there's just suddenly it's like, and with a clunk, he lands on the ground
On his
behind the
back?
desk, and you see him as a tortoise. As this nice
go
pink
pick
shaded
up my spear.
tortoise.
I go pick up my spear and I pick up the turtle.
Yeah.
The tortoise.
Max is
How
just
long did it
Max
take?
is Max just glaring at the turtle and just shaking.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
How long did it take for us to get here?
2 hours.
Yeah. So unless you have another 4th level slot, he will turn back eventually.
In 1 hour, yeah.
In 1 hour. Yeah.
Sadly, I do not. So we have to decide on how to deal with him within 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
We can. Any damage he takes that's in excess of a tortoise's will transfer through. So if we took him to the tallest part we can and just drop him off, that would probably do enough.
Possibly.
As you're deliberating this,
Mm-hmm.
there is a profound shudder everywhere around you.
Concentration. Get
Like-
out!
You turn around, you go for the door, it's locked.
Fudge.
Okay, someone blast off the door.
Eldritch Blast. Anyway, start blasting.
You just come in and start blasting.
That is a 22 for 10 force on the first bolt,
Okay.
and 27 for 3 on the
Okay.
second.
So the first one, splinters go everywhere. The door still remains in its place on the lock. And the second one still stands as a door in front of your way.
Hikan will do a flying jump kick to try to just burst through.
Okay. So as you so make an attack roll for me as you run over.
15 for 11, unless I have advantage because it's a door.
Yeah. That's all right. So 15 for 11. You flying kick with the tortoise under one arm and the javelin in the other. Crash. It seems like the last strike does enough to open the door, but that gives you just a plain old view as you watch, as around you, like the view of the outside world seems to tilt backwards and sink away, move away from you. The whole building seems to shudder and shake violently as it appears the entire hut seems to be sinking down into the snow around you. It is hideously loud. There's snow everywhere. You can see the building, like the interior of the building, as the wood on the walls and ceiling begin to splinter and break, and snow pours in. There's just this cacophonous noise everywhere as you begin to tumble, and I'd like everybody to make dex saving throws for me, please.
Can I use Misty Step to, darn it, this Thunder Step.
I'll take the thunderstep damage.
I can only take one person with me.
Take Ziden, and I will be the person that's in range of thunderstep damage.
And
Oh shit, so will
17
Flamgo.
Fudge.
Yeah, you go.
23.
I take Ziden and get out.
Okay. So you get out.
Or do you think I should take Flamgo?
Yeah.
Taking Flamgo seems reasonable. He's our target to deal with.
That would be
Although there's
smarter.
the risk.
Then
There is a risk there that if you did that and Ziden takes damage and loses concentration, you're dealt with him.
He's more likely. He's more likely to transform back if he takes damage than if Ziden takes damage.
Yeah.
Unless I get out faster because I'm right next to the door and I was going to fly through it anyway.
What
But
should
that's
I do?
less fun. I don't think magic's the solution to this one because if you leave Flamgo behind, Flamgo is not a willing creature.
That's fair.
And if you take Ziden, Flamgo will take damage because of how it's going right this instant. So
Yeah,
I do
then
not
I
think
can't
magic is the
take
solution.
it with me. Can't take the torch with me. Then I don't do Thunder Step.
Okay.
But it was a dexterity saving throw, right?
Yeah, dexterity saving throws from everybody.
8.
Okay.
7.
Okay. What's the HP of a tortoise?
2.
Okay. He
But I
rolled
was
very
holding
well.
him when I came out, so.
I was going to say, he was being held by someone with a very good deck save, and he also rolled a natural 17 on his deck save, so let's just hope we get 2 1s. No. Alright, so here's what happens. As the hut falls backwards and snow begins to fill in, there are a few moments where everything around you becomes chaos. Each of you who got less than a 12 on their deck save takes 7 points of bludgeoning damage, and those who pass only take half of that, so that would be 3, I think.
Evasion?
Evasion? Oh, then you don't take anything. And neither does Flamgo, because he's in your possession.
Yay.
Huzzah.
Okay. But that does mean that... Ziden, did you make a... Yes, you did. That does mean that, Ziden, you'll need to make me a concentration check and beat 10. Oh, God.
It's not allowed.
No.
Alright.
Today's been going bad for all of our rolls.
Yeah. So, here's what happens. It's chaos around you. For a few moments, you're not exactly sure what's going on. You hear the splintering of wood and the tumbling of snow and rock around you, and eventually it comes to a halt. And you find yourselves prone in a dark cave. Flamgo is also prone in a similar fashion. He's prone in a similar fashion because he transformed back into himself, and Hikan, probably dropped him in the sudden confusion, I'd say. Unless Hikan really wants to keep a hold of him in, a sort of fireman's carry sort of deal.
Or try and, gag him so he can't cast some things.
I mean... See, I'm trying to think of things that I would have to gag him or anything like that, but I don't have much. So,
Can you just hold
would
his
that be...
beak closed?
I could
Yeah,
attempt to.
you can hold his beak closed. He's not strong. He has an 8 strength. But yeah, as after a few moments, you all kind of right yourselves. You wake up a bit and look around in this dark cave, and behind you appears to be rock and snow and rubble and splintered wood. Behind you. In fact, I'll bring you onto a map over here.
Ooh.
There we go. And as things kind of clear around, you hear Flam go in.
Somebody have any rope?
Of course.
I think we have a lot of rope.
Tie his hands, please.
I will.
I presume I've seen enough spellcasting at this point to know that somatic components are important.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Make sure to thread the rope through his fingers so he can't do anything.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you kind of you tie him up, you gag him. He kind of looks at you underneath his pink feathery hat, with a look of utter disdain in all directions.
I returned the look.
You know that intimidation, like that intimidating stance that the big kid will have against like the bigger brother will have against the little brother when the little
Yeah.
brother wants to start something, and it's just like the fist is cocked back. Hikan's just like that, just right over Flamgo. Every round, for mechanically speaking, I am just holding my action to punch Flamgo if he tries something.
Okay. He's like.
You can shut up to start.
Would we know whatever way he used to teleport before, if it's something that he can do only with voice?
Make an Arcana check. And everybody can do that as well.
A worthy 10.
10, 7. It's gonna be one of those days, ladies and gentlemen.
The cursed,
I have the
cursed, I
most
tell you.
experience with Wizrobes, and I know nothing about them.
Let's see if I've read up on Flamgo 13.
What I will do instead, because it doesn't make narrative sense for Hikan to roll Arcana, Hikan will roll History to see if he remembers Flamgo only saying something before he vanished. With a 2.
A lovely 2.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I tried.
Yeah. You're not sure. You don't think he's a spellcaster capable of something along the within the magnitude of teleport. You don't think he's that powerful.
So maybe closer to his own Misty Step?
Possibly, or something similar. But as you're kind of debating this, there is further into the cave that you seem to have found yourselves in. There's a thump that echoes around you and kind of disturbs some of the ice. And
Is it a familiar sounding in any way?
Max, in Draconic, you hear,
"Who enters my home?"
and we will end the session there.
Fucking Flamgo.
And so, this has been episode 54 of Hyrule Chronicles. I have been ArticulateT, and with me today, as always, I have had Renji Vox being played by TheNetherlad.
I think we're in danger.
I have had Hikan Sio being played by Alvarance.
I'm giving Flamgo as a sacrifice to the dragon.
I have had Ziden Shari being played by Robopirate.
Just sad rolls today. No totals.
And I have had Max being played by Keystra.
Panic!
We'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye.
Bye!